What up, legends? I'm Matt, and with the extensive leaks that Apex has seen lately, we have got a ton of new info to speculate on future content. We already took a look at all the new legends potentially on the docket for release, but there is still so much more info that we haven't even touched on in these leaks. From new weapons and firing range updates to all new maps and existing map changes, let's dive into all the info we have on potential content coming to Apex. Just keep in mind, none of this info is confirmed, and the footage we're going to be showing in this video is from an unconfirmed source. Much of the footage we will be showing is marked as originating from data miner Crowrindo, however, they have denied leaking this content. There is a chance that much of this won't end up in the game, but there is also the chance that none of it will. But that doesn't make it any less fun to speculate. Before we dive in, we got the question of the day. Which part of these leaks has got you the most excited? Today, we're going to be talking primarily about new weapons, maps, and some map changes, and I want to know what you are most pumped for. Make sure you drop a comment letting me know, and without further ado, let's talk about some prototype weapons. First up, we have the Scorpion CBO. If this gets added to the game, we would finally have another weapon that uses arrows, or this could even be a potential bowcheck replacement. The gun has two fire modes, automatic, which fires a flurry of arrows, and a single fire mode that converts the rounds into explosive arrows. The damage seems quite solid, and the ability to swap fire modes adds a ton of flexibility. While the bowcheck can be a lot of fun to use, it can often be a feast or famine kind of weapon due to its slow fire rate. A weapon like the Scorpion CBO could be exactly what the arrow weapon class needs to become a more prominent weapon type. We'll have to wait and see if it makes its way into the game and whether it will be expanding the arrow weapons alongside the bowcheck or simply replacing it. The next weapon I want to touch on is the Maelstrom LMG. This would be the very first light ammo LMG to make its way into the game, and honestly, I'm here for it. It's got a high fire rate with a large clip, and while it has some recoil, it looks to be quite lethal with attachments. With how powerful many of the LMG weapons are and have been in the past, I think it's safe to say this would be a very powerful and fun to use option should it get patched in. I'm all for new types of weapons that we haven't seen, and a light ammo LMG seems like a great weapon that has just yet to be made. The high fire rate mixed with its large magazine could make for a really cool dynamic, and we will have to wait and see if we get the Maelstrom anytime soon. If you're hoping for some really unique weapons to get added to the game, these next few leaks will get you excited. The Nemesis is a 4-burst round energy weapon that has a charge system that increases its fire rate. The more you shoot the gun, the higher the charge goes, and at full charge, it's essentially shooting at fully automatic speeds. Energy ammo is incredibly accurate, so this could be a really powerful mid-range option with high accuracy and fire rate. The charge up mechanic seems really cool, with it lowering the weapon's upfront damage in a fight, but allowing you to lay down the shots in extended gunfights. We have never had a burst energy weapon, and the hybrid between burst and automatic is a really interesting concept. We'll have to see if we can get our hands on this weapon and how it could potentially shake up the energy weapon landscape. On the subject of unique weapons, cue the dual-wield energy ammo pistols. These things look deadly, with them also having a charge mechanic. Unlike the Nemesis though, the Fanatic can charge up their shot and release a burst of energy that hits for some solid chunk damage. They can also fire quickly in single fire, and they appear to not be able to ADS in any way. This could be a really interesting close range option, feeling like something between a shotgun and an SMG. The forced hip fire definitely holds to the weapon being used in close range, but as you can see by some of the footage, the accuracy still seems to be fairly solid. This would be a very unique weapon to add to the game, and assuming Apex hipfire remains as strong as it has always been, the Fanatic could become quite powerful too. Before we move on to all the firing range and map changes, we have one more weapon leak that looks to be another one of a kind. The Gemini is an energy ammo submachine gun with a very high fire rate. This weapon does not have a slot for a magazine, limiting how many bullets you can have in its clip. While the gun appears to be quite strong, where it really seems to shine is with its pairing mechanic. The Gemini has the unique ability to duplicate itself, allowing you to get two of them at one time. This alone seems to be quite powerful, but there also seems to be some sort of power boost implied for this weapon if you have 2 of them. This could be totally off the mark, but the pairing wording implies that this gun has some sort of interaction with the other weapon you are holding, and since it can just poof another Gemini out of thin air, I think it's safe to say there is likely another interaction here. There is always a chance that this is just an early game power spike for the weapon, guaranteeing you can have 2 guns right away, but knowing Respawn, there is likely more to it than that. We'll have to wait and see this gun's full potential if it makes its way into the game, and in the meantime, we can all just dream of its future potential. And hey, if you are dreaming about your potential, there is no better way to make it a reality than heading over to ProGuides.com. There you will find specially trained coaches who are some of the top players in the world, ready to help you evolve your game. No matter what you struggle with, or if you aren't even sure what you need to improve on, they can start you down the path of improvement and help you every step of the way. If you're ready to reach your goals and become the best player that you can be, check out the link in the description. Moving on to some other seriously hyped leaks, it looks like we may finally be getting some much requested firing range updates. While the firing range is definitely great, it has also lacked some features that players have been asking for. One of the biggest for this is the ability to easily spawn AI-operated dummies to fight. While we can do this through an Easter egg currently, the leaked footage shows buttons located all around the range, allowing you to easily activate and deactivate enemies. They also seem to have a couple more static dummies throughout the map, giving you some extra targets. Speaking of targets, the footage also shows a few different control panels that will allow you to speed up and slow down the moving targets in the range, as well as reset the shields of all dummies in the range. On top of all this, there also looks to be a feature that allows you to do timed trials that track your accuracy and damage. This in particular is a feature that could be massive, allowing players to have more custom warm-up routines or more ways to effectively train their aim. These types of changes, combined with the ability to actually toggle indicators that show exactly where your bullets are landing, seem to be some incredible quality of life fixes for the firing range. We will have to wait and see when these types of changes are coming to the game, but I think it's safe to say we will eventually see many of these changes added in. Making the firing range into a more robust practice tool has been something a lot of the community has wanted to see, so it's exciting to see these types of leaks. Moving on from the firing range, we also have some massive implications for upcoming maps and changes to current maps. There appear to be 5, yes, no, you heard me correct, 5 arena maps leaked in this information. While some of them are clearly in very early development, it appears that Respawn wasn't killing about their focus on expanding the arena map pool. The most developed map looks to be centered around Hammond Labs and has a really interesting layout and quite attractive colors. Most of these other maps are clearly in early development with some placeholder items and no textures, so we won't dive too deep into these maps in their current state. But it's safe to assume that we're going to have a steady flow of arena maps, and that content for this mode is still a priority for the game. While these maps all look really awesome, what I was personally excited to see was the potential new BR map. While it is again clearly in early development, the structure and much of the map do seem to be completed, with it appearing to be on the moon. Whether it's on the moon or not, we may be getting a space map, and it's tough not to get excited about that. The early peaks of the map look awesome, and while Respawn has always been developing new maps, this one looks like it could be something really special. We won't dive too deep into the particulars since it's so early in development, and these are unconfirmed leaks, but the potential is definitely visible here. From the space outside of the map to some of the early textures for the map itself, this looks like it could be one of the most unique maps yet. On top of all of that, there are also some changes to Kings Canyon and Storm Point as well. Kings Canyon shows some big changes around the salvage POI, as well as changes to the cage to make it less of a power position and open up the lines of sight surrounding the building. The high ground at Cage is a spot that always attracts squads looking to hold early ring positions, so this looks like a great change. The salvage changes look to be much more drastic, with much of the POI being reworked. For Storm Point, the footage shows a new potential POI centered around and inside of a dead Leviathan. This area looks really cool, and an additional POI on this massive map doesn't sound like a bad thing. They also seem to be flirting with adding some more monster camps and adding in some structures in the back of the lightning rod POI. Again, all of this is very early leaks that are definitely subject to change, but it's exciting to see this much work being done involving map creation and adjustment. I think we all knew this, but Respawn seems to have a lot in store for us, even if this info isn't exactly what we get. Wrapping up the content in these leaks are a ton of new weapon and legend skins, along with some lore tidbits surrounding Bangalore that have not yet been released. As always, Respawn's skin game is on point, and we aren't going to touch on the lore stuff to avoid spoilers for anyone. Just know, there is a ton of more cool stuff in the works, and the cosmetics are continuing down the incredible path that Respawn has already taken us. Two of the big cosmetics include heirloom weapons for Valkyrie and Crypto, and the skins shown are equally as hype if you don't play those legends. We're going to have a link to the source material for these leaks in the description, if you want to go through each skin and really get a feel for what's coming, or if you're a lore buff who wants all that info now. And that's going to do it for today's video, and our coverage of these most recent Apex Legends leaks. Remember, if you missed the first video, check it out for some new crazy legends that could be coming to the game. And be sure to let me know which leaked weapon that we talked about today that you are most excited for. One more reminder that all of this is absolutely unconfirmed and definitely subject to change. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more ProGuides Apex Legends content with the bell button turned on so that you never miss another video. I've been Matt, and I'll see you in the next one.